In this episode, we're talking about Facebook and data leaks.
Welcome everyone here. Interesting episode today talking about Facebook and a little bit of a breach of data as it relates to some users of Facebook. We saw recently from March 16th to the 21st, Facebook dropping around 8.5% in their stock price, which amounted to around $45 billion in market cap.
Big number, yeah.
So wanted to walk everyone through what it is that actually happened with Facebook, what we can expect moving forward or what we think moving forward, and just give them some insight into what actually is going on here. So why don't you start with what happened?
Yeah, I think it's good to explore this because this isn't one of your typical cases where there was a company that was hacked and data was leaked in that way. And I think that's where the misconception is. Like, Facebook wasn't hacked and data wasn't necessarily stolen in the more traditional way that we've seen it stolen from companies. What really happened here was back in 2015. There was a guy by the name of Alexander Kogan, who is a researcher at Cambridge University, basically licensed information from Facebook to conduct surveys. And so he did this survey and administered it to 250,000 people. And at that time, what happened was Facebook actually in their user agreement allowed people to access their friends' information through a similar process. Like, so if you were one of the 250,000, for example, and you had 100 friends, they could access the information about your 100 friends as well.
So it was around 50 million.
50 million people's information essentially got collected in that manner. So that in itself wasn't a real problem. The problem occurred when, and this is where the diciness of the whole situation comes in, is that information was then shared with a company called Cambridge Analytica. And Cambridge Analytica is one of these big data companies that will use data in order to do marketing campaigns and things like that. And they've been helping out with a number of election campaigns, including Donald Trump's campaign back in 2016. So, so that's where this information is. That's where this whole story came from. Is that the information was, some say illegally, certainly something dicey was going on when that information was shared with Cambridge Analytica without the permission of Facebook in the first place. So that's really what the situation was.
Been a lot of backlash. A lot of people are talking about how there's this level of distrust among these technology companies that really are built upon users' data, consumers' data. Talk a little bit about why we're seeing such a backlash right now.
I think there's a couple reasons why we're seeing backlash. One, these platforms, as you say, are based on trust, and so if people stop trusting them, and they feel like your information is being used and misappropriated, then that's a big problem for the social network in general. So that's one of the reasons. I mean, the other reason is that, like, Facebook, it seems, has had somewhat of a cavalier attitude towards regulation and how they treat personal data, and so I think people are just feeling like they're not taking it seriously enough.
Facebook is one of many companies that is built upon user data. What do we think this means to Facebook as a company and just the tech industry as a whole? Maybe not all the technology companies, but companies that, again, thrive off this data.
Well, I think that all of these companies need to be certainly concerned, or at least looking at the regulations that's potentially coming in. I mean, in Europe already, they're looking at companies like Google and how like their search engine is working and what data comes to the top of a search. And so I think that any of these companies, especially that are dealing with data and personal data, have to be looking at, one, their security around it, and two, what processes they're using before they can give out that information, especially as it relates to individual users. So what it could mean ultimately is certainly governments right now are looking at higher regulation. Whether that comes to be, we don't know yet. But it's certainly something.
A lot is coming in the pipe in Europe, is it not? So
like even. There's some cases in Europe where they're concerned about how much control one company has. Monopoly type of situations come into play, and so there is some concern around that. And I think the companies need to be looking at that. And certainly what we've seen with the stock prices since this all leaked was reflective of that.
We're fielding questions. are we buying the stock? Clients are calling because, people want to buy. You'll buy low, sell high. They're seeing the Facebook stock come down. Are we buying the stock? Yes or no, and give a reason behind that.
Yeah, I mean, the simple answer is no. We're not buying the stock right now. I think this is just my personal opinion. I still like the company. I like what it stands for, and what it's doing. But I think the fact of the matter is this has kind of brought to light some of the potential issues that could be these companies could be facing and headwinds they could be facing.
And this is the first of what may be many. We don't know, but
could be the end, could be the beginning, right? So the short answer is no. We're not buying the company today. We're still focusing on buying really great companies and buying them at great prices. And we still don't feel like it's a great price to buy this company. And that may change down the road, but as of right now, no.
Great. Well, with that, short and sweet.
Yeah.
Hopefully you learned a little more, and if you have any questions around any of the information we talked about, we'd be happy to answer.
Give us a shout. Visit us at www.whitehoustonwealth.com, and with any questions, send them our way. We'd be happy to talk about Facebook or anything else with you going forward. So, thanks very much for joining us, and we'll close it off. Ready?
Aim.
Fire.